Just when you thought it was safe to go on YouTube again, here you are watching another Vegematic video. Your life lacks meaning. Well, welcome anyway. Now, the first story I want to talk about tonight is about that paragon of virtue among the elites, Jeffrey Epstein. Or Epstein. They told me it was Epstein. Anyway, I first came across this article in the Sydney newspaper from Australia, Sydney Morning Post or something. But here it is, reprinted in the New York Times, I guess. It seems like the idea of eugenics is quite popular among the circles that he ran in. And if this doesn't frighten you, it probably should. Now, according to this article, Jeffrey, the wealthy financier who was accused of sex trafficking, had an unusual dream. He hoped to seed the human race with his DNA by impregnating women at his vast New Mexico ranch because his DNA was just so special. Mr. Epstein's vision reflected his long-standing fascination with what has become known as transhumanism, the science of improving the human population through technologies like genetic engineering and artificial intelligence. Critics have likened transhumanism to a modern-day version of eugenics, the discredited field of improving the human race through controlled breeding. And I think we can see a couple of flaws in that right off the bat, no? Mr. Epstein was willing to finance research that others viewed as bizarre. He told one scientist he was bankrolling efforts to identify a mysterious particle that might trigger the feeling that someone is watching you. What a man of science here, yes. On multiple occasions, starting in the early 2000s, Mr. Epstein told scientists and businessmen about his ambitions to use his New Mexico ranch as a base where women would be inseminated with his sperm and give birth to his babies, according to two award-winning scientists and an advisor to large companies and wealthy individuals, all of whom Mr. Epstein told about it. It goes on and on and on, and these people have very strange ideas, and it's just so creepy. It's just Mr. Epstein did not hide his interest in tinkering with genes and in perpetuating his own DNA. That is so valuable, right? Yeah, we really want that child molester DNA to seed the human population, right? Mr. Epstein was very interested in cryogenics or cryonics, an unproven science, to say the least, in which people's bodies are frozen to be brought back to life in the future. Mr. Epstein told this person that he wanted his head and penis to be frozen, of course. At one session at Harvard, Mr. Epstein criticized efforts to reduce starvation and provide health care to the poor because doing so increased the risk of overpopulation. Mr. Pinker said he had rebutted the argument, simply saying research shows that high rates of infant mortality simply cause people to have more children. Mr. Epstein seemed annoyed, and a Harvard colleague later told Mr. Pinker that he had been voted off the island. He was no longer welcome at Mr. Epstein's gatherings. And he would fly these people all over the place and fund their research and everything. And you know, the people that he hung out with are all these people in huge, high positions of power. And this is the way they're thinking. So if anybody thinks that Nazism and eugenics are a thing, a distant, bloody history, no, they are resurgent. There, feel better? I know I do. Man. Here's a funny little story from AP. Twins on the way to Twins Festival pulled over for a second time in Twinsburg, Ohio. Twin brothers driving separately to the Twins Days Festival in Twinsburg, Ohio, say each got pulled over for a second time in 2 years. Reno, Nevada. And in Reno, Nevada, an unopened copy of a 1987 cult classic video game that a Nevada man found in the attic of his childhood home is expected to sell for up to $10,000 at an online auction. The boxed game cartridge of Nintendo's Kid Icarus was still in the bag with the receipt for $38.45 from J.C. Penney's catalog department 3 decades earlier. $38 was a lot of money back then. But yeah, the things people pay money for. Unbelievable. Well, if John Lennon's toilet sold for I don't know how much, why shouldn't an unopened copy of Kid Icarus sell for that much? You know what's sad? Artists that can't sell their paintings, and like really good paintings, and then you hear about stuff like this and go, it's not just the planet that's deteriorating, it's the culture too, and it's accelerating. So there's a reason to be happily hopeless in the doomosphere. And in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, authorities say a woman suspected of urinating on potatoes at a Walmart in Pennsylvania has turned herself in. Do the right thing. If you're gonna piss on the potatoes, turn yourself in. And here's one of those karma stories that I really like. This is from Spartanburg, South Carolina, the booming metropolis of Spartanburg. It's pretty Spartan. I think I was there once, briefly. A South Carolina woman says a porch pirate has stolen a package containing 9 tarantulas. Can you imagine this person running and stealing this thing? Oh wow, cool, it's a package from Amazon, shows and the tarantulas come out. I don't know, that just seems really like divine justice to me somehow. And in the nice kitty department, we have to have a kitty story. In Stratham, New Hampshire, a New Hampshire police officer says the kitten he was trying to pick up in the parking lot turned out to be a bobcat, which then jumped onto the roof of a Burger King. Stratham officer Matt Callahan says he was on patrol Saturday and saw the kitten run under a car. It eventually climbed a tree near the restaurant. Once Callahan realized he was dealing with a young bobcat, he called state fish and game officers. He also stood in the drive-thru to alert customers in case the bobcat decided to come down. But he climbed onto the roof and took a nap. So I hope they safely relocated our friendly bobcat. Yeah, he probably smelled that Burger King and figured, there's a lot of stuff in here that I would find, a bobcat would find attractive. I got to be careful here. I might be crossing the line, so I don't want to cross too many lines. Crossed them all in my life, line after line after line. Where did it get me? Old. Well, I guess that's all for this week from the armpit of Canada. And I realize that I put out very few videos, but one has to realize that the only reason I put out these videos is I can't remember. Oh, anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you for stopping by at the Vegematic channel. If you wish to subscribe, you can do so by, I think I know how, you know how to do it by now. You're on YouTube, and if you have a YouTube account, you just, you hit that red thing. They'll do it. It's all I'm asking. Is that so much? I'm giving of my time, I'm giving of my effort to bring you the news that matters. Well, it doesn't really matter that much. Well, it's kind of irrelevant, isn't it? Bringing you the best in irrelevancy. It's Vegematic, and I love everybody and want to have all your babies. Thank you, and good night.